So I want you to watch the video, hear wetin Sule talk from him mouth. Hear wetin your pastors are encouraging among the youths. Any youth wey follow this nonsense, if you find yourself abroad, you go and neglect your business, your job, because you want to attend to things of the spirit by going to church when you are supposed to be at work. Abroad go teach you. You cannot cut corners in abroad. Now for Nigeria, spirit dey work for human being. For abroad here, now woman being dey work for woman being. Now wetin you work, you go chop. For Nigeria, Holy Spirit dey give them tea, e dey give them bread, e dey do bread and egg, e dey even cook, e go do bread and egg, come do milo for them to step down in Nigeria. For here, now you go enter kitchen by yourself, cook your food. Now you go work for the money, pack the load from your car. Holy Spirit no dey help anybody do anything for abroad. Now for Nigeria, make I no talk too much, make una hear in a pastor wetin e dey yarn for mouth like person wey smoke kolos. If you no smoke kolos, this testimony wey you give for this video wey you go watch is nothing other than to make people leave their responsibility wey go pay them for their life, come face their own job. I tell you, say they like freebies, they like free service. You know, every worker in church, they know they pay them salary, then just they use their time to sow into the life of their pastor for their pastor to be richer. So they will look for things to make you manipulate and touch your brain so that you go say you leave your own thing to go and work for God. Leave your thing and you say you are working for God. Say God go do your work for you. If not so, say God they will do something for person. Why then they preach? Now God supposed to preach for people. Make themselves sit down. Why then they ask for money? Now God supposed to ask for money. Why be saying that then they ask for money? If not so, the church where then they build, why then they hire people, contractor, pay them correct money to build it? Anyway, watch the video and tell me your views.
Spiritual. A man of God told me a story. He was a lecturer in the university. A lecturer in the university before he went into full-time ministry. He said something happened to him one day. He was already a pastor, but he was still lecturing in the university in Nigeria. He said while he was marking the scripts of the students, he got to one script. As he was about to mark the script, he had the voice, add more marks. He had the voice again, add more marks. It increased, add more marks, add more marks, add more marks. So he took the script, kept it aside. He marked all that because he was a believer, so he was rebuking the voice, not knowing it was not a voice that can be rebuked. Add more marks. He brought the script, add more marks, add more marks, add more marks. So he kept the script. When he got to class, he said, who has the matric number so and so and so, your name is so and so? A very skinny brother came out. He said, is that your number? He said, yes. He said, see me in the office. He said, thank you, sir. When he came to the office, he said, who are you? He said, by the grace of God, I'm the prayer band leader in my fellowship. He said, prayer band, what did you do? He said, I don't understand. I wrote your exam, sir. No, what did you do on your script? He said, nothing, sir. We had several days of vigils. And when I was to have your exam, I overslept. I got to the class very late. God knows I knew all the answers. I only answered 2 of the questions, and you said we should submit our script. So I lifted my script to God and told God, you know I was doing your work. Hold on. He said, you know I was doing your work. That is why I came late. Lord, I know the answers, but there is no time. Speak to him. The heart of the king is in the
brothers and sisters, this is really, really terrible. You know, it's always good to do things right, but when you overdo it, then it's not nice anymore. Men of God have overplayed their hands. They have done more than what anyone could ever imagine. They have really, really taken us for a ride. Really. Now, there's a difference between a spiritual reward and a physical reward. You can go to worship the Lord and you can get salvation. You can be spiritually rewarded. But if you do not study for an exam, how come can you pass that exam if that's not fraud? How come can you pass the exam? Because remember, you must study for an exam. You must take the exam, then you can pass the exam. How can you say that the Holy Spirit tells someone to pass someone who did not completely write the exam? Now he might have answered a few questions, but he did not completed the entire script or the entire test. So how can the Holy Spirit whisper to a professor to like add more marks, add more marks, add more marks? Isn't that a fraud? You guys tell me. And this is the kind of doctrine that has made us, especially us in Africa, to become very, very lazy. Really lazy. We have placed all our hopes. In fact, we have neglected what we should be doing as mortal beings and believe that God is going to do everything for us, because the men of God have made us believe that we don't have to do anything anymore. All we need to do is just fast and pray and worship. And if we do these things, the Holy Spirit is going to do everything for us in the physical world. How is that possible? How is that possible? And ask yourself this question. I have always asked people this question, right? If that were to be the case, if there was any shred of truth in this idea that if we fast and pray enough, if we tithe and give offerings enough, then prosperity will be showered upon us. Wouldn't us in Nigeria be very prosperous by now? I use us in a general term. Wouldn't all the Christians in Nigeria who have been fasting day in, day out, day in, day out, be so much prosperous by now? Wouldn't they? Go to Nigeria, look across the board. Majority of the people in Nigeria are Christians. And look across the Christian community and you realize that 90 to 95% of them are broke. I mean, totally broke people. 3% is successful and maybe 2% is super successful. But 95% of all the Christians are broke. Let's say about 70% are struggling to survive. 50% doesn't even have anything to do at all. But they are worshiping day in, day night. In Nigeria, the most common thing you will find around are house of God or churches. They are like in every corner. People have realized that opening a church is one of the easiest way to become successful, because they will use the Bible to manipulate the people into giving their hard-earned money to them. They will guilt the people into giving everything they have to them. The men of God are like the worst. You know, they are worse than thieves and scammers and even politicians, because they know the truth, but they decided to fool the people. They know what they are doing is not right, but they do it anyway, under the disguise of helping the people. You know, like I tell people, right? A thief is just there to take from you with force. He doesn't need to convince you. He doesn't need to pretend to be a good person. He doesn't need all that. He just need to come to you, maybe pull out a gun or a knife or other ways of getting something from you forcefully. And everyone knows that a thief is a bad person. Even the thief himself knows that he is a bad person. But men of God are like wolves in sheep cloths. They will come under a disguise of helping the people. They will hide their real intention, and they will pretend like they are out there to look after the people, look after the masses. And all what they do is exploit the people. All what they do is steal from the people, and all they do is give them fake prophecies and collect everything from the people. Like the lady in this video just spelled out. The Holy Spirit will never do for you what you ought to do for yourself. And if you think I am wrong, go to church and pray from now till tomorrow and don't get a job, and let's see how you feed yourself. If you think I'm wrong, go to church and fast from now till tomorrow and don't get a job, don't start a business, don't do anything, and let's see how spiritual money or miracle money will appear in your wallet. If you think that the Holy Spirit will do for you the things you are supposed to do for yourself, if you think that is true, then try it out. Try it out. Let's see. Let's see who is wrong, who is right. It will never happen. Spiritual things are different from physical things. If you want salvation, pray, worship, give thanks. If you want to purify your spiritual life, pray, worship, give thanks. But if you need a medical attention, prayers will never stop that. If you have diabetes, you need medication for diabetes, not prayers. Prayers will never do that for you. You need to go to a hospital. You need to consult a doctor. You need to seek a help of a medical practitioner who has been trained on how to resolve the problem or how to solve the problem that you are facing. Prayers, fasting will never do that for you. If you have an exam, you need to study. You need to study day in, day out. Prayers will never do that for you. What you're supposed to pray for is the knowledge to understand whatever you are studying. You can pray for God to guide you on how you study, to provide you with an infinite wisdom so that you can quickly understand what you are studying. That is what you pray for. That is what you pray for. So all of you out there thinking that what Suleman said is the truth. Well, the professor might have told him that, but I do not think anyone whispered anything to any professor. I would never think that. It won't happen. If that guy went to pray rather than learning, rather than studying, rather than preparing for his exam the next day, he will fail. He will fail. I will say that again. He will fail. But you guys out there, let's hear your take on this whole thing. Do you ever believe that the Holy Spirit will do for people what people ought to do for themselves? Do you think that if someone who is supposed to study goes to church and pray day in, day out, and didn't study, and even came to the exam hall, but because he came late and was unable to answer all the questions, will somehow pass the exam? Is that even a possibility? Let us know in the comment section below. Because like always, we love hearing what you have to say. Please do us a favor, like this video, share it, follow us on Facebook, and also subscribe to this channel because that helps us a lot.